Aloha artists, Miss Maggie here. Today we are going to hang out with one of my favorite birds, and it's also our state of Hawaii's favorite bird. Do you know which bird this is? It's the Nēnē, of course. I've spent a lot of time inside Haleakalā crater painting, and sometimes I look at the Nēnē and I paint them, but today we are going to go up to the summit of Haleakalā, the house of the sun, for sunrise and create an artwork that shows these beautiful Nēnē in their home. We will be drawing, painting, cutting, and gluing to create a silhouette of the Nēnē. I'll show you how this all works. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see what supplies we are going to need. Okay, you are going to need a small watercolor paper. Now, some of the small watercolor paper is this size small, and some is this size small. Either are fine. I think that if you have one of the larger ones, that's a little better, but whatever you have, let's use the watercolor paper today. Okay, so one small watercolor paper, one black construction paper. I bet you still have one of those from your original set. If not, you're going to want some other dark paper that you can cut. You know what could work if you can't find anything else? A grocery bag. That'll be a nice dark brown, which would be quite beautiful too, and you could always color it with an oil pastel or paint even. Why not? Okay, so black construction paper or other dark paper that you can cut, small watercolor paper, and then pencil, eraser, and our watercolor paintbrush, water, and napkin, and then finally scissors and glue. I'm going to use a glue stick today. If you would rather use white glue, that could also work. Okay, that's a bunch of supplies. This artwork is a lot of fun, but it does have 2 steps. That's why so many supplies. So, watercolor paper, small size, black construction paper or other dark paper, pencil, eraser, everything you need to paint, and scissors and glue. Okay, go find those supplies and meet me right back here. First of all, let's get our 2 papers ready. I have a black paper and I have a watercolor paper. The black paper is bigger and I don't need all of it. Let's line up your watercolor paper and draw a line so you know where the edges of what you need. If yours is smaller, that will be a smaller amount of paper that you need. Okay, so make that line wherever it is and then cut it out. And so I'm going to cut carefully on that line, and I've got the part that I need, and then this part I'm going to save for another time to make more art. You might even have your own idea for it. Okay, so that's all I need for the black paper right now. I'm going to keep that safe because I'm going to start to paint. This paper here is going to be our sunrise sky. Wow. So we don't even need to draw on it. We're just going to go straight in with our paint. And the first thing we are going to do is a watercolor wash. So that means you're going to take your brush. That means that you're going to take your brush and you're going to cover the piece with water. So let's stop and think. Where are you painting? Oh, we're putting water everywhere. Okay, what color? No color yet, but think about what are the colors of the sunrise that you're going to put in. I think I'm going to start with yellows and oranges and then to pinks and then purple blues up at the top where the sun hasn't hit yet. Ooh. And then what stroke? I want to fill this with water, and so I'm going to be using the side of my brush, unless you have a bigger brush. And see how when I use the side, I can color a pretty good area. If I'm using the tip of the brush, that's a lot more work. Whew. So I'm going to go stroke, 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 stroke. Oh, I need to go off the edge. Make sure I don't miss anywhere. Keep going. You've got this. Stroke, stroke, stroke. So it's amazing with a paintbrush how little a mark you can get and also how large a mark, just depending on how you use it. Okay, I have that wet all the way. Go back and double check if some areas dried out. Okay, my paper is all wet, ready for that watercolor wash. I thought some more about what I saw when I was up at the Haleakalā sunrise. And I'm going to have it so that the sun is down here. And so right there is actually not going to be yellow. It's going to be white because it's so hard to look at the sun. It really is that bright. And then around it, that's going to be super bright, and then yellow, and then orangey down here, and red and purple going up. Then we'll add in some clouds. So you might have seen your sunrise a little bit different, but that's how I'm going to do mine. Okay, so I thought about where I'm going to start, what colors, and what stroke. I'm going to start with that sun, and look at what that color does. It is a watercolor wash, so that color flows, but I want to have an area that stays pretty bright there and white, and then I'm going to have the yellow come out from there. But you know what? Actually, I think I want to have this area in the center be a little less bright. And if you have some areas that you're like, oh, I want that brighter, just put the napkin down and back up. And right there, little bit there, little bit there. Ooh, I like that. But I'm going to keep this color flowing. Yeah. And I'm going to do some red down in here. And I think I need more yellow with it. I had so much fun with just the primary colors last time that I'm going to use the primary colors again. And I'm going to mix them so that I have yellow in here and red, making some oranges. And yeah, that's looking good. And then up here, I have a little bit more yellow flowing. Oh, it's drying out. It needs more water. Sometimes that happens. And I'm going to have that yellow coming up a little bit, but mostly it's going to start to turn red. Ooh, yes, look at that flowing wild red. When you do watercolor washes, a lot of time you don't have complete control over what the colors do, but it is just so neat that you get to discover it. And I'm going to do blue up at the top, a deep blue there. Ooh, lots of blue. And then I'm going to let the water bring it down. Look at that red and purple together. I think I'm going to use some of that red and blue to create a couple little clouds here. Wow. I think I'm going to call that done. You don't want to work on these too much. Just get something and then whew, let it be. Did you see how I did those clouds at the end? That was red and blue and some thin lines. And I went whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And that is how mine's coming out. I can't wait to see yours. It might look very different. You get to imagine your sunrise differently. But I hope you try some of those techniques like the watercolor wash, trying out just primary colors and letting those colors flow from one to the next. We're not done with our whole artwork yet though. We are going to make the Nēnē, so let's let this part dry and do that. Before we move on, wash your brush, clean your paints if you need to, put them away, and set this one somewhere safe to dry. Okay? Okay, now for the Nēnē. We are going to make a silhouette. What's a silhouette? Have you ever heard that word before? A silhouette is when we use just the outline of something, just the edges there to draw. And so we're going to cut out the Nēnē so it is just black, like it is backlit. So our next part is to draw the Nēnē, and we're going to do that on our black paper. We are going to make a silhouette. What's a silhouette? Have you made one before? A silhouette is when we use just the shape of something, not the details inside, and it'll be black or another dark color. So we're going to cut out that silhouette and put it in front of the sunrise. Okay, I'm going to look at this Nēnē and see what shapes it's made out of and put it onto here. You can use your pencil and you'll be able to see it, but I know it's hard to see it on the film, so I'm going to use this crayon so that you can see. Okay, so remember, you're using a pencil, but I'm going to draw in white so you can watch closely and see how to draw your own Nēnē. So I noticed that the Nēnē has a body, it has a head, and it has legs, right? And the legs and the head, they're about the same length. The body is a little bit bigger. I want to use the whole piece for my Nēnē. So the head's going to be about this big, body, and then legs. Okay, that helps me know that. And the body is kind of an oval, kind of. And so I'm going to draw that oval. Kind of like that. Okay? But that doesn't look like that, does it? I see a couple things that are different about the Nēnē's body and that shape. For instance, I see that there's a big tail on there, isn't there? There's a big tail coming down over here. Yeah. And I see that the chest, it doesn't stick out. It has almost like a diagonal line right there. So I'm going to draw a line that goes from the top corner-ish of it and down. Okay, I'm going to erase the lines that I don't need so that I don't get confused. There we go. That's more of a Nēnē body shape. Next, I know that the head is up here. And it's an oval about like that. And then I see that from the head, it's going to come down like that. From the top of the head, I'm going to curve down. And then I'm going to take from here underneath its chin, and that's going to come down to that spot. See how I use two curving lines, one curving down from the top and one curving down from the bottom to create the neck. Wonderful. I don't need the eye because this is a silhouette, but I do need to show that this really is a Nēnē face. I see that it comes down right there, and I see that the beak, it kind of jumps out a little bit. It's flat at the very end, comes up, put a little nostril. That's not quite it. It needs to come up a little bit more. I think that's just about there. Okay, I think I've got mine for the Nēnē. And then for the legs, let's see, what else does it need? Well, on this one, I have a leg coming down like this. I see that it's wobbly like that. It's got the little knee, and it's got the claw going back. And I see a couple claws going this way. 1, 2, 3. Oops, that line on the inside, I won't need that. And then that back leg is close to this one. And so I'm going to draw what I see and see if I can make it work. So I've got another fin coming out, and it's going to be connected there. Now, what other parts do I need to look at and make more like the Nēnē? Like, for instance, I see the chest is very proud on this Nēnē, so I'm going to adjust that. And I see back here, I think I can choose exactly how I want that line to be. And I definitely didn't do enough with the tail yet. Let's see. I see that there's some feather shapes. I think I want those feathers to be a little bit sharper. I'm going to bring that up, down, come to a shape like that, and a little skinnier right there. Okay, I like that better. My tool doesn't erase very well, but I'm only using that tool so that you can see my lines better. You're doing yours with pencil, so that works great too. Okay, so I looked at mine closely to figure out about the shape. Keep looking at yours and decide what are the important details to include for your silhouette. After you think that you've gotten every important part of your goose, then let's add some lava rocks that the Nēnē is standing on. Okay, so I'm going to go up and make it so that it's standing on a rock there. And if your legs were a little funky, then this is a chance for you not to see them. And if your legs were just right, then make the rocks come down so that we can see the legs all the way. Have it standing on the very top of a rock. Okay, there we go. There's my Nēnē. It's time to cut it out. We are going to cut carefully on our lines. So this is a lot of cutting, isn't it? Let's use some techniques to do our cutting carefully. I'm going to start somewhere close to the edge. I'm going to start with the beak. And I'm going to stay on those lines. My lines are thick, so I'm going to stay outside them. And one thing I do is that if it starts getting annoying like that piece is, I'm just going to cut it off and then get back to the real cutting. And I'm going around and around. And one thing I do is that I turn the paper instead of the scissors a lot of times. See how I'm turning the paper? That allows me to keep control of the scissors and still have an easy angle for doing the cutting. And if I'm getting to something that's big and annoying, I cut it off. There we go. What's next? I'm going to start from the lava rocks now. Go. See how I went from one direction, then the other? Do you see how my Nēnē and the lava rocks, they're still attached, okay? I'm keeping those together. Now, let's do this other part that we need to take away. remember, the shape that we cut out is what's going to tell people that this is a nēnē. So, do your best at careful cutting. Cutting needs to take just as much attention as drawing. And because we can't erase a cut, can we? If you do have an oops, something unexpected happen, then you do have the opportunity to be creative. And there's a couple ways that you could be creative. One, you've got that other half of that black paper. You could try again. Two, when we put this down, I'll show you how we can fix some of the things that happen when we're cutting, okay? So, remember, when something unexpected happens, it's just an opportunity to be creative and that you get to come up with ideas for how to make your artwork even better. And I'm always trying to share ideas with you. There we go. Oh, isn't that neat? But you know what? If you've got lots of lines on yours, like I do, even though I bet your lines are lighter, look at that. Oh my goodness. I do think I like mine better a little bit in a different spot there. If I did this again, I would make the sun rise over here. Oh my goodness, I wish I'd done that. So, what can I do to change this? I think I like it looking this way because then the nēnē is black instead of with my pencil lines. But then I run out of lava rocks and it can't be going off the edge. So I'll make it here. So what do I do about that part? Well, let's make more lava rocks. I am going to take an edge of my paper. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this into a lava rock like that. And that's going to come down like that there. Oh my goodness. I even just like it like that. But yes, if I was to do this again, my sunrise would have been over there. If you were to make a second one of these, what would you do differently the second time? We always get more ideas when we make art, don't we? So, I like this. I could also add more rocks. And if I want that straight line, use an extra piece that has a straight line. And do you see how I could draw another rock to add? Just like that. And then cut it out. But I like mine coming off the paper like that with that empty space, like it's looking over the edge of the crater. I love that. And what about if you cut something off? Say you had a part that was supposed to be on, like you cut the nēnē off from the rock. Well, you have two pieces to glue down because that's what's coming next. So if something got cut off by accident, we're going to glue it all down where it's supposed to be now. And so we are going to glue. Now, you have two different types of glue possibly. Maybe you have this one, maybe you have this one. There are tricks important for both. For the glue stick, lots is good, okay? But also when you pull on your paper with it, sometimes little pieces can get torn off. Like if you grab onto this part, it could get torn right off if it's really skinny. So I put my finger down and I go everywhere I can. And I go everywhere I can. And I cover every bit I can with that glue stick. Differently, if you're using white glue, dot, dot, not a lot. You only want to use a teeny bit, okay? How much white glue? Teeny bit. Okay, so I'm going to get it so that it's going dot. Oh, look, it has an eye now. Dot, 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 dot. See how little those dots are? If you end up with a big dot like that by accident, can't say it came out fast instead of slow like mine was coming out, then take that and turn that into more dots. Okay, see, and those little parts that stick out like the beak, that needs a little bit on it too. But even just a little smear like that does plenty. That's still too much. So those dots are good. I'll use that, and then the rest, I don't even want that amount there. See, that's all the white glue you need. And if you're doing glue stick, make sure you cover everything with it. Sound good? Okay, take your piece, and then before you put it down, hover, double check. Are you putting it where you want to? Am I making sure that the tail is on there, the rocks are on there, everything's there, and then carefully press it down. And there is my Nēnē at sunrise on Haleakalā. I can't wait to see yours. Your reflection question is, if you were to do another silhouette artwork, what would you do? How would you do it differently than this one? Remember, I came up with the idea of, oh my goodness, why did I put the sun in the center? That's getting blocked a little bit. I still like it, but I would make it right over here. Wouldn't that be even better? So that's what I came up with. What would you do differently? And finally, make sure that all your art supplies gets put away safely, cover up those glues, and that your artwork, show it to your teachers, put it online for me to see. I love looking at it on Padlet and all your other places you put it, and put it up somewhere in your home that will make your family happy. Okay, I'll make more art with you next week. A hooey ho!